Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the UCF Soccer Complex and the University of Central Florida with the 2017 American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Championship Semifinal number 2. Tonight's matchup features the number 4 seed with an overall record of 11-5-3, including 4-2-3 in league play. The Tigers from the University of Memphis. Versus the number 1 seed with an overall record of 12-1-2, including 7-0-2 in league play. The Knights from UCF. And now the starting lineups, first for the visitors from Memphis. Double zero, a freshman from Port St. Lucie, Florida, the keeper, Elizabeth Moberg. Number 2, a sophomore from Kentville, Nova Scotia, Canada, midfielder, Surae Dolan. Number 4, a junior from Bloomington, Illinois, forward, Lizzie Warner. Number 6, a junior from Stoneham, Quebec City, Canada, midfielder, Catherine Levasseur. Number 7, a junior from Stoneham, Quebec City, Canada, forward, Marie Levasseur. Number 9, a sophomore from Cortis, Ontario, Canada, forward, Michaela Morton. Number 10, a sophomore from Woodbridge, Ontario, Canada, midfielder, Jessica Lisi. Number 11, a senior from Dallas, Texas.
Just 3 teams remain in the 2017 American Women's Soccer Championship Tournament here on the campus of UCF in beautiful Orlando, Florida. And it's the host, UCF, taking on the Memphis Tigers in the second semifinal, and a right to take on USF in the championship match on Sunday on ESPN News. And as we take a look at the bracket, it was the Bulls defeating the Mustangs by a score of 1-0. Evelyn Vienne continues her fantastic attacking prowess with her 11th goal of the year, 27th of her career, and the Bulls await the winner of the Knights and the Tigers of Memphis here on the campus of University of Central Florida. And we welcome you inside the booth pregame. Tyler Terrence along with Matt Stubbington. Glad you could join us on the American Digital Network. And Matt, we saw a thriller of a matchup in the first semifinal. Now we head to the second. It's the host UCF. They've been waiting all week. Now they get an opportunity against a very potent and busy Memphis team.
Well, the first game was a really good game to watch. This one should be even more special. 2 very good teams. Memphis played really well on Wednesday. If they can keep that form, they're going to be a really tough test for the Knights tonight. But the Knights, they're a top 10 team in the country for a reason, and I'm excited to see them play.
Currently ranked 6th in the country are the Knights. And for Memphis, their keys to the game, winning those 50-50 balls and really just relaxing and letting loose a little bit.
They have to relax and play free. If they play tense and try not to make mistakes, they will make mistakes. And winning the 50-50 balls might be the step that they need to be able to relax and play free, because then they'll have some possession to use.
Well, they were certainly relaxed and playing free on Wednesday night as they defeated Uconn 3-1. And then on the other side for UCF, who were playing their first game of the tournament, completing the first pass and then the dynamic movement off of the ball.
Absolutely. The Tigers have a lot of pressure when they play defense, particularly the front three. If UCF can break that pressure, complete the first pass, that will be great for the Knights, but you also have to move off the ball to achieve that.
And for Memphis, the number 4 seed in this tournament, their most dangerous offensive player this season, and paired up front with, along with Elizabeth Warner and Levasseur, is Michaela Morton, who had 2 goals in the quarterfinals.
It's a dynamic front three for Memphis, and Morton is a very key part of that. She runs the middle of the park tremendously well, plays the angles, and is very dangerous over the top for Memphis.
Had a penalty and a goal in the run of play against Uconn on Wednesday night. And then on the other side for UCF, Morgan Ferreira, the 2017 American Offensive Player of the Year.
Well, when I asked the UCF SID what makes Morgan Ferreira special, she looked at me and said, you know, I don't know. She just has the knack of scoring goals. She's very difficult to defend in the box. She's very confident in the box, and she's very calm. She just finishes her chances and gets in the right place at the right time.
She's finished 12 off this year, and she's looking to continue her fine offensive play into the semifinals of the American Soccer Championship Tournament right here on the American Digital Network. Kickoff coming up next.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Welcome back to the campus of UCF right here at the UCF Track and Field and Soccer Complex, as it's the #1 overall seed, the host, the Knights, taking on the #4 seed, the Memphis Tigers, who performed brilliantly against Uconn on Wednesday night. And Memphis looking to continue their fine run into the championship match, but they take on a dynamic, a threatening, a pestering UCF side who are currently ranked 5th in the country offensively, 6th in the country overall, and top 20 defensively. They're good for almost 3 goals a game, and their keeper, Varys, has only let up 1 goal in conference play. Their defense is stingy. Their offense is potent. And with that, we head down to Haley Outen, the 3rd member of our crew. Haley?
Well, I had a chance to catch up with both coaches before tonight's kickoff. Memphis head coach Brooks Monaghan and UCF head coach Tiffany Roberts-Sahedek. And listen, both coaches said this is a fresh game. This is the postseason. It's kind of like what you do now is what matters. So that 5-0 loss for Memphis earlier this season really isn't on either team's mind. For Memphis head coach Brooks Monaghan, he said this is going to really come down to the fight his team has. How bad do they want it in the postseason? And for UCF, they watched this game on Wednesday night. They said Memphis is a different looking team at this point in the season.
Thank you very much, Haley, as we are underway from the UCF Track and Field and Soccer Complex. Tyler Terrens along with Matt Stubbington, and of course, as you just heard from the 3rd member of our crew, Haley Outen. And it should be a fantastic night of football between these two sides. UCF, as we mentioned before, currently ranked 6th in the country. They are having a terrific season, 7-0-2 in conference play, as they have just been phenomenal in all facets of the game so far. And they're on a 14-match unbeaten streak after losing to the University of South Carolina, who's currently ranked #3 in the country. They've gone on an absolute tear, blowing past everybody in their way.
I've seen the Gamecocks in person. They're a really difficult team to play against. At UCF, if they're able to compete at that level, and they are, because they are in the top 10, they are ranked nationally 6th. And the unbeaten streak that they are undergoing at the moment speaks volumes. I haven't been able to see the Knights in person yet this season, so I'm really excited to see what they're able to do on the pitch. And I'm also excited to see whether Memphis can play as well as they did Wednesday and compete against this difficult Knights team.
Well, the conference awards came out just a few days ago, on Halloween actually, and it was a complete sweep for the Knights, taking home Offensive Player of the Year in Morgan Ferreira, Midfield of the Year in Kayla Adamick, Defensive Player of the Year with Catalin Souza, and that was really the only blemish, as Souza shared that honor with Vanessa Gil of Cincinnati, Goalkeeper of the Year in Vera Varys, who of course only let up 1 goal in conference play. And I think that this UCF offense really gets all of the spotlight and all of the glory, but this defense as well is extremely stingy, and they have proved that throughout the course of this regular season, not only in the American, but against some very potent non-conference opponents as well.
Well, it's the old adage that the good defense wins championships, but if you're able to do that, it sets up your offense as well.
And of course, in charge for the Tigers, Brooks Monaghan, his 18th season, played at Memphis, Actually was a member of the U20 national team for the United States. And he has done a terrific job with this Tigers crew. We saw them play against Uconn and really just dismantle Alen Xantera's side, who never really stood a chance. Memphis was all over them from the first whistle. And then Brooks Monaghan, of course, going up against Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak, whose pedigree as a player is certainly magnificent, and her pedigree as a coach is starting to reach that as a player. Two-time American Coach of the Year, a Sweet 16 appearance, and of course a big win over her alma mater, North Carolina. Good chance here for UCF as they're on the move. Tonight's with their first real chance of the evening. Great move along the line, sent across. It's almost put in. UCF is claiming it went over the line, and it did. It's an own goal, and the Knights, the hosts, are off to a flying start.
Knights getting down the right flank in the inside right channel, deep inside the box. The cross comes over, put it in the mix. Good things will happen. And unfortunate there. Malin for the Tigers just got her feet tied up underneath her. She tried to clear the ball, and it dribbles over the goal line. And the Tigers didn't want to concede a goal early in the match. Didn't want to concede a goal, certainly not in that manner. Unfortunate for Memphis. Fantastic for the Knights.
The last time that these two teams played, it was a 5-0 decision in favor of the Knights. Morgan Ferreira with a hat-trick, the first of her career. And it wasn't a Knight player who scored the opening goal, but more of the same for this UCF team. They just continue to cause problems. Memphis were unable to keep the shutout against Uconn. They ended up getting one back in the form of a Vivian Bile free kick. But a great start for UCF, and just a great way to ignite the home crowd. And that's what you really want to do when you host a tournament like this, is get the fans involved.
All season long, you want to take care of your home field advantage, and it is a home field advantage for UCF. Great crowd on hand, and an early start for the Knights. As I say, you put it in the mix, good things will happen. That's exactly what happened, but it's an uphill battle now. And we were talking just before the ball went in the back of the net about how strong defense can help your offense. And it just allows you to play with more freedom going forwards. And that's what we're seeing from the Knights. Only in the first 5 minutes of the game, but the Tigers have to find a way to just calm their nerves and get back in the game.
There was Kayla Adamick, wearing number 9, the redshirt senior from Ottawa, who was making things happen along that far touchline. Just unfortunate for Memphis. They were trying to clear it away, but as you said, Matt, it's just making something happen. And when you put the ball in that dangerous of an area inside the 6-yard box, something is bound to happen. Usually it doesn't result in an own goal at this high level of play, but eventually what happened, and now we have an injury.
It was over immediately to comfort their teammate. I didn't see the number of the player who is on the turf, but
I think she got kicked.
In a lot of pain. Athletic training staff out immediately. A couple of injuries in our first game tonight for SMU. I don't see any players injured.
You can see
Kerry Lawrence there just going into the challenge and didn't see what happened. Hopefully she'll be okay.
The athletic trainer is on a full sprint out onto the field to tend to Kerry Lawrence, and her teammates went right over to her to console her, and you could just see the look of agony on Lawrence's face as the rest of the UCF team gathering themselves. And really a scary moment for Kerry Lawrence, the junior from Orlando, to nearby Timber Creek High School. Transfer from the University of South Carolina, made 20 starts for the Gamecocks in 2016. Has started and played in every game this season. Such a vital piece of this UCF back line, but even more so, really a part of this UCF group. And it's not so much whether or not she can continue, but the overall health that is of the main concern for Kerry Lawrence at the moment. 2 goals and 5 assists on the season. The athletic trainer motioning for the cart to maybe brought over, and with that we are going to step away for a few brief moments. Stay with us here in the American Digital Network.
In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same, to blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones, not just to learn, but to experience, to create, solve, build, to explore and express, to lead. Because an education isn't something you get, it's something you do.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
Back on the campus of UCF here for the latter half of this semifinal doubleheader between the Knights and the Memphis Tigers, and a very scary moment early on here in the first 6 minutes of this matchup. Kerry Lawrence went down after a challenge on the far side. You could immediately tell that it was very serious. The cart waved onto the field by the athletic trainer, and Kerry Lawrence is going to be taken off. I mentioned before, Lawrence, a junior from Orlando, went to nearby Timber Creek High School. Transfer from University of South Carolina, and comes off the field to a round of applause from the Knight faithful, and even some of the Memphis fans. And obviously we wish a speedy recovery for Kerry Lawrence. Hopefully no further injuries. We saw a couple of gruesome injuries in the first game between SMU and USF. Robin Maurer as well as Haley Bishop both went down with injuries to force them to not be able to return. And we will resume play, and game to be had here. The championship spot on the line. It was interesting, Matt, you mentioned during the break, and we obviously have Kerry Lawrence in our thoughts right now. It would have been a great opportunity for Memphis to maybe talk with Brooks Monaghan, the head coach for Memphis, and to gather their composure a little bit, but they sort of did their own thing.
Well, the team themselves gathered at the bottom of their defensive side of the center circle and met together. Tiffany Roberts-Sahedek brought her team over to the bench to talk to the UCF team and get on the same page. And Coach Monaghan, what was interesting is that he was such a vocal coach in the first game of this tournament. I was a little surprised he didn't bring his troops over to marshal them and get them moving in the right direction, but so the coach trusts the players to do that job, that motivation for themselves.
Callahan forced to go all the way back to Vera Varis. 2017 American Goalkeeper of the Year. 1 goal allowed in league play. In the Finn national team in 2015. .252 goals against average for Varis. That is good enough for 4th in the country. Season high saves against USF and Memphis. UCF earned the right to host this tournament after a draw with USF and the war on I-4 battle with the Bulls. Thrilling 1-1 game. The Bulls have already claimed their spot in the championship game on Sunday, which will be aired on ESPN News. Memphis is going to have to orchestrate a come from behind type of game if they're going to see themselves in the championship match. Callahan riding forward, sends it out wide. Surae sent back into the middle, a foul in the box, and it's a penalty. UCF creating all sorts of problems for this Memphis back line, and the Tigers conceding a penalty, and now a real chance for UCF to get a firm grip on this match.
It all started with great movement on the outside by Zandy Surae. And then the diagonal run through the box of Dina Orshman, and a leg was left trailing.
Ferreira on top of it, and she buries it. Morgan Ferreira, her 13th goal of the season, make it a baker's dozen for the Offensive Player of the Year. And the Knights have a 2-0 lead.
Elizabeth Moberg, the goalkeeper for the Tigers, slaps the turf in frustration. That was a well-taken penalty kick. She had no chance, the goalkeeper. She gets the right way, but with the left hand, maybe she could have got there with the right if she had led with the right arm, but it was a good PK from Ferreira. Again, showing her confidence and composure in the box that we mentioned in the open.
What a start for the UCF Knights. Own goal and then a penalty buried. And none other than Morgan Ferreira, who had 3 against Memphis when these teams last met on October 1st. It looks like it's going to be a very similar result if Memphis can't get their act together quickly. UCF possibly looking for a third, and we haven't even played 10 minutes yet. The big touch from Orshman.
Play that led up to the penalty kick. I made mention of it. Surae, just great overlapping run on the left flank. Created the space in the middle that Orshman could run into, and then the center backs were just unbalanced, flat-footed. A leg was left trailing, and Orshman read the challenge coming, sold it really well. Definitely was a foul, definitely a penalty kick, but she sold it really well as well. And the referee, no choice but to point to the penalty spot.
And with more on Morgan Ferreira, the 2017 Offensive Player of the Year, is the third member of our crew, Haley Outen. Haley?
Well, UCF is already off to a fast start. Great penalty kick taken by, you mentioned it, the Offensive Player of the Year, Morgan Ferreira. I asked Coach what she thinks the difference has been this year for Morgan, and she said, you know what, she's not surprised in any way, but for Morgan last year, she kind of had to sit in the shadows behind Carol Rodriguez, who had earned that starting spot at the center forward position. Now that Carol has graduated, it's Morgan's spot this year, and this is truly her best position on the field, so Coach not surprised at all by Morgan's standout season.
Thank you very much, Haley. Morgan continues her fine play into the postseason. UCF just go at defenders with so much pace. There's so much purpose whenever one of their attacking players touches the ball.
Certainly do. It makes it so difficult to defend. You have to be careful as a defender to break down, hold your position, know at what point you can initiate the challenge.
There is a look at Ferreira, senior from Tampa, transferred from Mississippi State after her freshman year. She was second team all-conference a year ago, but really turned into a star this season. There's the freshman Orshman. Fight her way through. Lacey. Morton, bit of a heavy touch, stripped by Callahan. UCF could be in business once more. Callahan, a little 1-2. Sorry, wide for Orshman. A shot on frame, but that's easy work for Elizabeth Moberg.
She'll be grateful that that ball is in her arms. This ball coming into the box, really, that she's been able to collect off of the save and not out of the back of her net.
Elizabeth Moberg, a freshman from Port St. Lucie. About 60 minutes from Orlando here on the campus of UCF. Moberg has started the last games. Get any starts before that. Brooks Monaghan choosing to go with the freshman late in this season, and she certainly made the most of the opportunity, and not much she could have done in 2 opening goals.
Absolutely not.
Morton trying to switch it over to Levasseur on the far side, who is yet to get a dangerous touch in yet. He was so active in the quarterfinal against Uconn. A lot of prep work involved in trying to deal with this Memphis team, because it's not just one player who you have to worry about. It's that triple threat of Warner, of Levasseur, as well as Kayla Morton.
The triple threat up top, so balanced in their scoring are this Tiger squad.
Vasseur saying that her team earned a corner, and indeed they did. She was jostling Souza on the far side in the first corner of the evening for the Tigers.
Set pieces can be so important in matches like this.
Chance here for the Tigers. Beautiful bent-in ball. Just clipped back in, but easy work for Varys.
Job there from the back line of the Knights to push up. Catching the Tigers all in an offside position. They couldn't therefore challenge the goalkeeper, Varys. In the end, it was a very nice, easy catch for the goalkeeper of the Knights. Wednesday night on every set piece, particularly the corner kicks, the Tigers looked dangerous and gave Uconn an awful lot of problems. It's already seen a good service on the first corner of the game for the Tigers.
Talked about one of the keys to the game for the Knights, the movement off of the ball, and there looks like there's a copious amount of movement off the ball where there's just midfielders checking in, checking out, the forwards coming back to the ball.
It's so important in the game of soccer. You have to have that intelligence to be tactically aware of where the pass might go and read the play of not only your team but also the defenders, to see where they're trying to shield the ball to take away options for you. And in doing that, you have to make those triangles and move off of the ball and work hard for each other. If you stay stationary, and it makes it so much easier for the opposition to just stay stationary too and play defense with you.
With that movement comes the fitness level, and of course being fit is something that goes without saying in the game of soccer, but to be able to move off the ball at that high of a rate and then also have to defend as there's a rough challenge on the far side. It says a lot about the work that Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak does with this Tide during preseason, which is probably the least favorite time of any collegiate athlete, having to do all that running and getting in shape, but it proves to be so vital down the stretch in the postseason.
That absolutely is, and it becomes the mental fatigue. Everybody can be physically fit, but if you're physically fit for the 90 minutes, it's so that your brain can operate at a high level and tell your feet where they're supposed to go.
Lisi into the box. Great ball. Varys comes with strong fists and surrenders the corner. And hear a little bit more about Memphis's fitness. We'll head down to the third member of our crew, Haley Outen. Haley?
Yeah, I hear you guys talking about fitness up there for UCF, and they certainly are an extremely fit team. But when I talked to head coach Brooks Monaghan before the game about the Memphis level of fitness, I said, Coach, you know, how are you approaching this game? You've obviously played one more game than UCF, but he said he's not worried about fatigue. He said this is a really fit group, and there's a spot in the NCAA tournament on the line when it comes to the postseason, so he expects the adrenaline and that postseason energy to really prevail tonight.
Thank you so much, Haley, as Memphis have a good opportunity here off the corner once again. It's the first time volley. It's loose in front. Werner was trying to get there, but the flag is up. Oh, a great chance for Memphis to maybe cut into the deficit. Spoiled by the offside flag.
Werner does a great job on these set pieces to spin off and get inside the box, trying to get the rebounds. That is how she scored her goal on Wednesday against Uconn. The ball bounced off the post right onto her foot and rebounded into the back of the net. Talk about movement for UCF. Werner's movement inside the box, particularly on set pieces, is something that young players should watch.
Here's Ferreira. A little bit behind Dina Orschmann. About the triple threat of Memphis, but the triple threat of UCF certainly isn't anything to sneeze at either. Orschmann, Adamick, as well as Ferreira prove to be a formidable attacking front. Callahan get around Lisi, but does win a throw-in for her team. It's a double team from the Tigers. Have yet to find their rhythm. They are on the road, you know, for Memphis. It was a neutral game against Uconn. No team really has the edge in terms of the home field advantage, but this is very much a road game. UCF earned that right with a 7-0-2 record in conference play. Only games that they didn't win was a draw against USF and the war on I-4 in the last regular season game, as well as the 0-0 result against Cincinnati. The 2 times they were actually shut out this season. UCF normally good for about 3 goals a game, 5th in the country offensively. Callahan around Catherine Levasseur, but can't connect with Orshman, and eventually cleared away. Catherine Levasseur trying the big switch. Cut out. Memphis side just looks a little bit impatient in the early going. UCF perhaps in business once more, looking for a third. Great defending, however. Shielded out of bounds. It was Sidney Kingston on the play there. An effort from Callahan. This comes away with it. Warner. Holden assist on Wednesday night against the Huskies. Allen striding forward. UCF looking to get to the championship game. Last time they hosted, they were able to win the American Championship trophy. Going to get back to the NCAA tournament. Last time they got to the big dance was 2015. Surely, even if they don't come away victorious either tonight or in the final, they will get in that large bid. Better from Memphis here. On the line for Marie Levasseur and Michaela Morton. Those two are normally reading the exact same line, not exactly on the same page there.
Levasseur just drifted off sides, couldn't make a play on the ball. In the end, it was too far in front of her anyway. I think the anxiety from the Tigers at the moment is because of the scoreline. They know that they have to play their best game tonight. Because they've conceded those 2 early goals, it makes it very difficult against a very strong defensive team, which UCF is. Feels like a very, very big hill to climb.
The game plan is almost sort of thrown out of the book when you go down 2 goals in about 6 minutes. Any tactical change that Brooks Monaghan can make from the touchline?
As offensive-minded as his team is, I don't think there needs to be any change at this moment in time. 3 up top, he just has to have confidence in those 3 players in his midfield that they can move the ball up the pitch. If, as the game progresses, he's not getting the battle won in the midfield and if those players aren't getting the service, then yes, perhaps he would have to make that tactical change. But that's the one good thing, the one bright spot about going down 2-0 in the first 10 minutes of the game is that you have a lot of time to try and make amends for those errors.
Warner by a tough challenge. Saga Fredrickson able to stand her up, and it goes all the way back for Vera Varis. UCF trying to play out of the back. Michaela Morton with great pressure and forces UCF to turn the ball over. Starting to see a lot more signs of life from this Brooks Monaghan crew. Halfway through the first 45 minutes. If you're just joining us, you missed 2 goals in about the first 6 minutes or so. First an own goal from Memphis. Asia Mallon, the unfortunate touch into the back of her own net. And Dina Orshman drawing the penalty. Morgan Ferreira burying the penalty for her 13th goal this season. That is where we stand at the moment. Morton is able to win a deep throw-in.
We saw it Wednesday. Every time these front 3-4 Memphis get the ball, their first thought is, can they get behind defenders? Mostly the touch is positive into the attacking third.
Long throw-in coming in by Souza. Defensive Player of the Year in the American. Shared that honor with Vanessa Gil of Cincinnati. Olin was trying to send it in. Ball picked up by UCF. Sliding challenge by Memphis. A dangerous one at that from Sidney Kingston.
Desperation from Kingston. Absolutely a foul.
Home crowd here at UCF trying to get into it. Oberg with a calm head. Able to play Mallon along the sideline. Allen getting Warner involved, and she's met by a triple team, not allowed to come inside whatsoever. Look at the work from Bridget Callahan. And Warner providing the pressure, and it'll go all the way back to Varys. And you just tell that the soccer IQ of both of these teams is really just off the charts.
It absolutely is, and I have to give credit to Morgan Ferreira there. She dropped back from a center forward position to take away the centering pass from Memphis on that occasion, to really allowed that triple team to take effect.
Horschman trying to slide it through. The offside flag is up. Gating the play, but talked about the movement off of the ball. That was a great darting run from Kayla Adamick, and it almost ended up working out.
Full sprint through the back line. Just the timing of the pass wasn't quite there for Adamick. Goalkeeper Moberg did well coming off a line, not playing the whistle.
Corner again. Dispossessed. Hendrickson back for Amon, junior from Annandale, Virginia. Look from Amon. He's keeping it. Here's the Brazilian, Adeline Souza. Couple of stops along the way before UCF. Started at Monroe Junior College. Actually transferred to Louisville 2016 after winning a national championship in 2014 with Monroe. And then found herself right here in Orlando for her senior year. Now a couple of substitutions for UCF, one for Memphis. Memphis bringing on Chanel Hudson. Hudson thought she committed a foul there. Goes out wide for Warner. Early delivery, it's a good idea. Dolan on the first time. Always going wide. More signs of life from this Tigers team.
Defenders going forwards for the Tigers. Dolan trying to get into the attack. Interesting to see where Hudson fits into the fray for the Tigers. Coach Monaghan going to his bench. Bring off the right fullback, Mallon.
Addison Mernon and Stephanie Sanders checking in for the Knights. A few moments ago, challenge out on the far side. Referee says play on. Here's Levasseur after the defender slips. Marie Levasseur trying to get an angle, and it's going to go the other way.
Little shove there from Levasseur at the last moment. Almost won the corner kick, but the arms came up. Referee Mozo blows for the foul. There's the little shove right there.
A very physical match in the first semifinal. SMU and USF. Really hasn't been quite up to that caliber, but physical nonetheless with a championship spot on the line. Dangerous ball, poorly handled by Varys. Warner looking to take advantage, trying to turn, and cleared away by UCF. Nervy moments as they almost shot themselves in the foot. And now a substitute ready to come on for Memphis, but first we'll take another look.
Not a night-like play there at all. They're very lucky that that ball didn't fall more kindly for Werner. Wasn't able to turn the ball back on target.
Marissa Laracy checking in for Memphis. She certainly had a fine performance against Uconn in the quarterfinal on Wednesday. And for more on the UCF defense, we'll head down to the third member of our crew, Haley Outen. Haley?
Streak, and I asked Coach Robert Sahedek before the game, you know, why has your defense been clicking so well this year? And she said it's a really athletic, complete group, and the biggest thing is probably that they're really great 1v1 defenders, and they're willing to take those chances because they have a lot of trust. So they know that if they get beat, there's somebody behind them that's going to back them up.
Thank you very much, Haley. And they sport the co-defensive player of the year in Katalin Souza, who anchors that back line, but teammates Laura Amon, Saga Fredrickson, as well as Kerry Lawrence, who's the normal starter, who went off with what looked like a pretty serious lower leg injury. Always there to back her up, as Haley mentioned. UCF on the move here. Orshman. Connect the dots. Laracy trying to push her way forward. The ball somehow stays in play, and then Warner is going to send it down Route 1. Zillian Souza couldn't turn the corner. Good pressure from Michaela Morton.
Having those two central backs in Amon and Souza just allows you so much more freedom as a coach to allow those outside players to go forwards with gay abandon. And Fredrickson, who's taking the throw in here, has just been up and down the left flank throughout this first half, giving a lot of trouble to the Tigers. And that means that the front players have to come back defensively. I've talked about it quite a lot in all the games we've done from UCF in this tournament, but that is the exact job that the outside backs are allowed to do, or can do, just because those two central defenders are so good for UCF.
Early ball in for the Knights. Opportunity here. Surae trying to turn the corner. It takes a deflection and eventually gathered by Elizabeth Moberg. And more on the outside back. Saga Fredrickson is the third member of our crew, Haley Outen.
Team, but she's a team captain. She hasn't received much recognition this year, but she does more of the thankless work. She's such a leader, almost serving as what some would say, rather, a coach on the field. Some would call her a mini coach Robert Sahedek, teaching the younger players around her.
Thank you very much, Haley. And to exactly hear what Saga Fredrickson might be saying to her teammates, but very good to know that she's viewed as a mini-me of Robert Sahedek, and that's certainly some high praise as well.
Certainly a player and a coach that you would want to emulate. Fredrickson is able to do that. She'll go a long way in the game.
We talked about Tiffany Robert Sahedek's playing pedigree a little bit during the pregame show, as ball sent in by Amon. UCF trying to bring it down in tight quarters. And they get delivery in, but a lot of people know Tiffany Robert Sahedek, three-time World Cup champion, 110 caps for the U.S. women's national team. Graduated from the University of North Carolina, who Knights actually took down this year by a score of 2-1 in a thrilling overtime victory over the Tar Heels. Get tangled up there, and the foul goes against the UCF. The Knights bench not exactly pleased with the call.
Hudson there, number 5, has been bright since she came off the bench, more aggressive, pushing forwards. She's very athletic. Some good high-headed balls from her.
On ball through, Varys off of her line. Good communication between her and Cataline Souza.
Front three, just a little bit too spread out there. The outside players need to read the flick a little bit quicker. Start their diagonal runs across. Balls through the middle of the park. You have to understand that as the supporting players up front, Tyler, and make those diagonal runs so that if there is a flick or a misplay, you can try and get on the end of it through the back line.
Shield ball from Orshman. Bridget Hudson, look at this searching ball. Adamant couldn't get there. Orshman taken down from behind. It's another sort of 50-50 challenge there from Chanel Hudson, but again, she gets away with it. Orshman again. Great little drag to spring herself free. The shot on frame, and it's in again for UCF. Knights with their third goal of the first half. And it is a lovely finish from Stephanie Sanders.
Did so well to stay on side as this play developed. Held her run. I was wondering if perhaps she could have gone a little bit laterally towards the sideline to create the passing lane. Sanders knew what she was doing, held her run, collected the ball with her right foot, and then thumped it in the back of the net with the right foot. Oberg picking the ball out of the net for the third time in this first half.
Sanders, a native of Hamburg, Germany. It's now 4 goals and an assist in just 9 appearances for Sanders. Just a phenomenal asset off of the bench for coach Robert Sahadak. It must be nice to bring on that quality of a player as a sub.
It's really well done by Sanders. It certainly is a great asset to have. Nice to have a deep bench like that. I don't think Memphis feel that way. We're probably hoping that they get a little bit of a rest. Herrera's not on the field right now.
Catherine Levasseur getting the foul there. Maybe a little bit of pent-up frustration, as it certainly has been just that for this Memphis crew, who were all over the Huskies in the quarterfinals. But this UCF crew, a different animal here. 5-0 result in favor of UCF back on October 1st, and it's looking mighty similar here in the postseason in the semifinals of the 2017 American Women's Soccer Championship Tournament.
Good job defensively there from Larisi, but it's not really what you want from one of your 3 forwards coming back into the right fullback position to make the challenge. When the outside back is making that run, Fredrickson, you have to track her, and credit to Larisi for not giving up on the challenge. Still, the Tigers just aren't able to connect on the passes going into their attacking half.
UCF establishing their dominance on their home field. Sanders, Ferreira, an own goal for the UCF Knights. Bridget Callahan with some nifty footwork to get out of trouble. Poor pass there from Eamon. Memphis looking to take advantage of the turnover in a precarious area. Big sweeping ball over the top. Levasseur trying to keep it in play and make something happen. Tripped over the ball momentarily, but is able to win a corner.
That was a missed pass from the centre-back Aman that allowed the Tigers to get into the defensive third for the Tigers and win the corner kick. I was watching Callahan there. as she received the ball, before she received the ball rather, she's looking around to see where her teammates were. She knew she was going to get the ball from a teammate and knew where to go with the ball immediately because she'd already done the hard work of seeing where her support was. Talked about it tonight already. It's the intelligence of the player to be tactically aware, and that was a good example from Callahan.
Pensive Brooks Monaghan looks on. Gauthier on top of the corner for the Tigers. Loose ball in front. In a negative direction for Memphis. Marie Levasseur trying to keep it in play for the number 4 seed.
As Hudson wasn't in that corner kick as a target, he has a lot of ups. We've seen her with a couple of headers already.
Orton early delivery, not a bad ball. Heyman able to get there. Good work in the middle of the park for Memphis to keep it in play. Hudson going for goal, but always sailing wide. Now a substitute coming on for Brooks Monaghan. Chanel Hudson could not find the frame. And it's Samantha Murphy, the freshman from Ontario, with a goal and assist in 16 appearances.
Too ambitious from Hudson. I'd like to see her as a target in those set pieces, though, Tyler. She's athletic, great vertical leap. Give the Knights something more to worry about. They haven't been clean on those defensive set pieces for me. It'll be nitpicky. That's be one aspect of their game that they'll need to improve upon as this game progresses and as this postseason progresses.
UCF just looking to calmly play out of the back. Sanders brings it down beautifully, but it's into a couple of different Tigers as Sanders and Kingston get tangled up. No call from the referee. It's necessarily advantage as Gauthier lofts that towards the corner, and it'll run out of bounds. And being nitpicky, but for this Memphis side, if they are going to get back into the game, is take another look at that scrum, if you will, in the middle. I know they've gotten you to perk up a little bit, being the big rugby fan that you are. Are usually a little bit more graceful than that now.
Well, today's rugby game, it's all a little bit choreographed because they're trying to prevent the concussions and the head injuries, so it is a little bit more graceful, a little bit more controlled.
It's not just the NFL that's trying to prevent the concussions, it's everybody.
Absolutely. Got to take care of the athletes these days.
Callahan.
Just seems to have an absolute bundle of time on the ball, so calm and composed, able to look around, decide what she wants to do with the ball. And then when she is put under some pressure, she has the skill, the technical ability to beat the challenge and ride the pressure and still deliver the ball where she wants it to go.
Callahan, a senior from Hollywood, Florida. It's a little bit south of Fort Lauderdale. And we'll send it back down to Haley Outen, who's got a little bit more on the senior. Haley?
Yeah, guys, Bridget Callahan, she actually came in as a midfielder and switched to center back as a sophomore and remained there for 2 years. She started the season at center back this year and then against South Carolina before moving back into the midfield from the UNC game on. So she'll play any role you need her to. A great team player and just utility.
Thank you very much, Haley. And she also starred for the volleyball team in high school. She suited up as a libero for volleyball team, which were district champions. Just a phenomenal athlete, and she sort of plays that position as the holding central midfielder. I guess that would be the equivalent to a libero in the world of soccer.
Well, it would seem to fit the purpose, and probably that's part of where she gets her anticipation from on the soccer field. And I mean, watched a little bit of volleyball, not knowing a whole lot about it, but you watch the team that's receiving the play, they're always moving, trying to anticipate where the next shot is coming from, and libero is a huge part of that.
I think this is the first time during this week that we've seen a team completely split their center backs, push up their outside backs, but then also have their holding central midfielder come and split the center backs and act as that outlet to sort of connect the dots from the back line to the midfield.
And that's because UCF are so good on the ball and so composed on the ball that they're able to do that. And again, it goes back to those central defenders of Mana and Sousa, because they can handle the ball, handle the pressure. They're able to split wide, allow those outside backs to go. We also noticed that the center forward was also very aggressive at checking back to the ball to allow an outlet forwards. And that's something that is good to have as a teammate. But being able to read the angle that you need to go into to fill that space between your opposition's defensive line and midfield line, and operate in that space, so to speak, so that your teammates can find you defeat. We've seen that from Sanders in this first half since she's came on, and we saw it from Ferreira when she was on the pitch as well.
Just about 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in this first half. Tyler Terrence along with Matt Stubbington. Glad you could join us here on the American Digital Network. Encouraging ball forward from Sanders. UCF trying to get on the end of it, but Oberg off of her line. And for UCF, barring a miraculous comeback for Memphis, I mean, this is exactly where you want to be. You have players like Dina Orshman, like Morgan Ferreira, who haven't seen the field and are not killing themselves physically and are going to be really fresh for that championship matchup on Sunday. Again, barring Memphis are clawing their way back into the game.
That's a great situation, as you say, for Coach Robert Sahadak, and other players further down the roster can get their minutes in early in this game, get the playing time that they crave, give your star players some rest. It's a great position for UCF to be in. And we see a checking run there in the middle of the park. This time it was Surae trying to find the outlet. Just checking runs. If they're not followed, the pass is easily made to feet. If it is followed, then you can get somebody on the overlap. You've unbalanced the back line, and Memphis are then susceptible to the ball over the top or splitting through on the diagonal.
Just look at the space in between the midfield and the defense for UCF and Memphis. It's acres of green that really isn't occupied by anybody. So it goes all the way back for Moberg, finding Sidney Kingston. So critical in that win against Uconn. Sidney Kingston, number of blocks and deflections in front. Were able to keep the Huskies off the scoreboard for the most part. They would eventually find the back of the net, by the way. The Vivian Bile free kick that Moberg just simply couldn't get her hands on. Smith Warner. We wind down here in the first half. OTA. Down by Sousa.
For the skill of the player to chest that ball, not only to her feet, but also turn her body as she collects it on the chest to a position where she can then outlet pass to the wing.
4, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
And that's going to do it for the first half here on the campus of UCF. The hosts certainly flexing their muscles against Memphis. Morgan Ferreira, Stephanie Sanders, as well as an own goal from Memphis is how we got here. 45 minutes in the books, 45 minutes to go in this second semifinal. And standing pitch side with Coach Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak is Haley Outen.
An own goal, a penalty kick, and then a third finish there before the half ended. Just talk about your team's dominance so far in this game.
Well, one of our goals was just to come out flying. You know, we didn't have a game 2 days ago. We knew Memphis did, and we wanted to maybe take advantage of that situation. And I think we came out strong in the beginning, so it was good.
Up 3-0 in the conference tournament semifinal, obviously hoping to make it to that game on Sunday. How do you manage the second half now?
First, defense is going to have to be really sharp. You know, you give up one goal, and then you never know what's going to happen after that. So I said earlier, I think our best defense is having the ball. So if we can continue to keep possession and, you know, finding one another and doing the little details, I think we could keep it.
And, Coach, do you have any injury update on Kerry Lawrence?
I don't. So hopefully we can get her back soon.
All right, thanks a lot. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Haley. And we have one half in the books here on the campus of UCF, and it has been all night so far here in the first 45 minutes. They got off to a flying start, a Morgan Ferreira PK, as well as a Stephanie Sanders clinical finish. It is 3-0 at the half in favor of UCF over Memphis. We'll be back with some more at halftime here on the American Digital Network.
In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same, to blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones, not just to learn, but to experience, to create, solve, build, to explore and express, to lead. Because an education isn't something you get, it's something you do.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity.
This is big, baby!
So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it.
Here at UCF, we have one of the best coaching staffs in the nation. While all of the coaches share a bond of being able to call themselves a Knights family, two coaches in particular have a bond like no other.
She played holding mid for our team, for the Carolina Courage. She was the captain. She was an incredible leader.
So who is this incredible athlete Coach Calabrese is talking about? It's the one and only UCF women's head soccer coach, Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak, who he coached in the 2002 season for the WUSA team, the Carolina Courage.
He was always a very positive coach back then and very tactical and worked with our defense. So, I did learn a lot from him as well back then.
Coach Roberts-Sahadak helped lead the Carolina Courage to win the Founders Cup.
She was an inspiration to the players around her. She was someone as a coach who it's the first person you put on the board, and you essentially build a team around her.
Coach Roberts-Sahadak was thrilled to hear that her former coach was soon going to join her at UCF back in 2016.
My husband, Tim, and I, who worked together, we were so excited to hear when Coach Calabrese was hired, with him coaching me back in the day, and he also worked with my husband already with the youth club team. So we already had that connection, so we knew it was just going to be another great connection working together here at UCF.
Coach Calabrese now says that he isn't the only one doing all of the coaching.
I'm always inquiring as to what they're doing, and we have this great dialogue between the two programs where I'm always trying to learn from her and from their program, and we exchange kind of how we like to do things, and I think it's really beneficial to us and hopefully also to them.
The two coaches now work together to build a successful UCF soccer program.
We're very supportive of one another. We're constantly texting one another when someone wins, and we give a lot of support. But yes, we've shared slides with each other and video, so we are very collaborative staffs.
Back in the day, Coach Calabrese had no doubt that Coach Roberts-Sahadak had coaching in her blood.
Oh, absolutely. She had all of the characteristics to lead, and clearly she's been able to inspire the UCF group.
Reporting for Campus Connect, I'm Brianna Sorensen.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
The UCF women's soccer team has not only some of the best players in the country, but in the world. Two key players spent their summer playing overseas, including Berlin native Dina Orschmann.
I'm very proud too to be play in the national team.
While Orschmann only arrived at UCF 1 week before the game against UNC, she said that adjusting has been rather smooth.
I've learned a lot of things. It's very hard to combine the soccer training with all the study stuff, but I do it very well so far, so I hope it be also in the future.
While Orschmann says she enjoys playing for Germany and UCF, she said there are a few differences that set them apart.
The technical skills and techniques. There's a lot of things that are different, I think. But in the whole, I think the team spirit here is more powerful.
Even though Orschmann is coming in as a freshman for the team, Coach Sahadak said she's already making such a big impact.
You know, Dina is brand new to our team. She's a freshman. She's definitely going to be, a player to watch out for. She has international experience with the German youth national team, so she's very technical and very composed, and she's a goal scorer.
Also making a big splash on the women's soccer team is midfielder Zandy Surae.
I've played internationally a lot with the Belgians team in the youth, like U17 and U19, but I've also been to camps with the full team, so those have been really great experiences, and it's really helped develop me and give me other opportunities that have really progressed my play.
While Surae is shining all over the world, she said it definitely doesn't always come easy.
It's tough because I'm playing with players that I don't really know a lot, and I come in and I have to work hard to get in and to get accustomed to the play, so it's just a lot of grit and really working hard.
Reporting for Campus Connect from UCF, I'm Brianna Sorensen.
People say we're big. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity.
This is big, baby!
So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big. In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same, to blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones. Not just to learn, but to experience, to create, solve, build, to explore and express, to lead. Because an education isn't something you get, it's something you do.
Now hold a 3-0 lead over Memphis. It has been all UCF for the entire first 45 minutes, and we welcome you inside the broadcast booth here at the UCF Track and Field and Soccer Complex. Tyler Terrence along with Matt Stubbington. Glad you could join us here on the American Digital Network. And Matt, it's been all nights for the first half so far. They've been brilliant in every facet of the game. If you're Brooks Monaghan, what could you be saying to your team in the locker room right now?
Well, they have to go back to the way they played on Wednesday. You've got to put pressure on the Knights. You have to find a way to win the 50-50 balls, and you have to find a way to connect your team down the pitch. And you made mention of it at the end of the first half. There was acres of space between the front line of the Knights, the midfield area, and then the back line. And the Knights are occupying that space, but Memphis are not. There's a lot of disconnect between their midfield and their front three, and they have to find a way to fill that gap. It has to be the midfielders that do it, because the checking forwards for Memphis, that's not their game. They like to play over the top. You have to find a way to get into that gap and play the ball over the top. However, facing against the defensive player of the year or co-defensive player of the year in your conference in Sosa, and that back line just play so well together and read those long balls so beautifully, it's going to be a really big ask for the Tigers tonight.
Well, Morgan Ferreira, who is the offensive player of the year in the American in 2017, she has a goal off of a penalty kick. It was her 13th of the game. This is a look at the first goal, and Adamick did a great job of making something happen. Just an unfortunate touch there from Mallon. And then it was Dina Orschmann who would eventually draw the penalty. Morgan Ferreira buried it, no doubt about it. Moberg gets the right way, and you can see the frustration. And then the third goal was just an absolute rip from Stephanie Sanders. And that would be her 4th goal of the season in just 9 appearances. And that is how we got to where we are at halftime here in Orlando. We'll be back in just a few moments here on the American Digital Network with second half kickoff.
In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same, to blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones, not just to learn, but to experience, to create, solve, build, to explore and express, to lead. Because an education isn't something you get, it's something you do.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
(3-0) in favor of UCF here in the second half of the semifinal doubleheader. The Knights, the hosts, the #1 overall seed, and the #6 team in the country, showing everybody why exactly that is, as Nitron is certainly enjoying everything that's going on here at the UCF Track and Field and Soccer Complex, as it has been all UCF in the first half. Memphis desperately going to try to get back into this one, but it's a tall task against not only one of the best offensive teams in the country, but one of the best defensive, and standing by with the head coach of Memphis, Brooks Monaghan, is Haley Outen.
Coach, a couple of unfortunate goals in that first 10 minutes. What were some of the breakdowns your team experienced in the first half?
Well, the first goal was something that we talked about, right? The big switch. Unfortunately, we bit. And, again, UCF, I have to give credit. I mean, they get a sniff, and they're great at finishing. They have been all year, and they've punished us. I mean, it's hard to believe we've had 5 shots, they've had 4, and the score is 3-0. But, listen, there's 2 halves, and trying to get that first goal back, but it's not going to be easy, but the spirits are good, right? There's no screaming, no yelling, but we'll see. All
right, Coach, good luck in the second half.
Thank you very much, Haley. And Coach Monaghan, really a guy you could see he's telling you everything that he's thinking. He's not really holding much back. And for Memphis, this is obviously a very steep mountain to climb right now, but you get the feeling that a team of this caliber, and with all the offensive weapons that they have, if they can get that first one within the first 10 minutes, we might have a game on our hands.
Oh, absolutely. They are such a potent offense. Those front 3 are fantastic. We saw it on Wednesday against Uconn, how dangerous this Tiger team can be. And you could just sense the frustration from Coach Monaghan that they went behind by those 2 goals so early in the first half. And obviously it changed the complexion of the game and made life a lot more difficult for the Tigers. As you say, and as he said, if they can just find a way to put the ball in the back of the net one time, then it's game on, and it's going to be a really interesting second half. But it's up to the Tigers to put that first goal in if they can manage a way to do it. But this is a tough UCF team to try and break down. They haven't conceded many goals at all year, only 1 in the regular season conference, and so it just makes it even more daunting for the Tigers as they get ready to start this second half.
And for UCF, I mean, the only thing I guess you have to be worrying about is if your coach, Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak, is making sure that there's no mental lapses, like you mentioned, in the first 10 minutes. We have to remember these still are student athletes, and they have maybe the tendency every now and then to float in and out of a game, especially if you're up 3-0. If you're Coach Roberts-Sahadak, how do you keep everybody focused?
I don't think they have to worry, because I'm looking down at the field and at the players in the huddle, and I think that the one player, Sega Fredriksson, is getting that whole team focused. She was just leading that huddle, pumping the fist, getting them fired up. And I think the left fullback for this UCF team is As you said in the first half, she's a little mini Tiffany Roberts-Haydock on the pitch, and I think she's doing her job right there. And that's great to have that senior leadership for the Knights.
And we are underway at the second half here on the campus of UCF between the Knights of UCF and the Tigers of Memphis in this 1-4 matchup in the 2017 American Women's Soccer Championship. Winner will take on USF in the championship game, which will be aired on ESPN News on Sunday. A lot on the line. UCF probably already into the NCAA tournament regardless of what happens in the next 72 hours or so, but they're looking to take home some hardware. Last time they hosted this tournament, that was in fact the case, as we have an early foul against Memphis. Catherine Levasseur, more of the piano lifter of the Levasseur twins. She's doing more of the dirty work in the middle of the field, breaking up the rhythm for the opposition. And we did have an injury early in this game. Carrie Lawrence went down with what looked like a gruesome lower leg injury. And Haley Outen, the third member of our crew, has more on it.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Carrie Lawrence making her way back out onto the sideline on crutches, that left foot in the boot. So not appearing to be going back in today, and hoping for the best for Carrie and her recovery with the injury that she's facing. But she's back out on the field cheering on her team.
Certainly a good sign that Kerry is back out onto the field. And right away, she sort of just rid the crutches and is going to take a seat and extend that leg out. And as Haley mentioned, hopefully a speedy recovery for the outside back, who has been terrific for this Knights team throughout the entire season. As that ball will go out of bounds, and get a look there at Carrie Lawrence. You're from Orlando, grew up so close, and was such a good opportunity to play in front of some family and friends. Such a big stage, and it got cut short, so unfortunately. And a speedy recovery to Miss Lawrence, as Memphis are lining up a long throw in here. Sidney Kingston looking to tee it up for one of her teammates, as Morton was trying to flick it along. Kingston is going to have a go. Ferris is right there to collect.
Might have been just drifting wide of the left-hand upright, but goalkeeper made no mistake. Good footwork, gets the body behind the ball. One of those awkward ones to save, skidding along the surface as Knight Dew comes down and makes things a little bit slick. The goalkeeper, good technique. Immediately in the start of this second half, Memphis trying to be positive going forwards, more aggressively.
The Knight Dew. You do that on purpose?
Didn't even realize I'd done it. Were you waiting for the boom, Tish, that never came?
I was. It never came. I was looking for a no pun intended, and that never came either. Here's Memphis with a great opportunity here. Challenge from behind. The referee is not interested. No penalty for Memphis. UCF has already earned one this match, but Memphis not going to earn one on that occasion.
Brilliant challenge in the box from the center backs of UCF. Ball played through. Lisi had the opportunity to shoot, but she elects to take the extra touch with the right foot. Oman there gets goal side just enough to do a great job making the tackle.
So Memphis down 3-0 at the half, certainly coming out and starting the second half the proper way and putting tons of pressure on this UCF back line. They've earned themselves a free kick here.
It's 3 players back defensively for the Tigers. I thought they might send another player into the box.
You see on the free kick, it's a teasing ball in. Callahan gets there first. Long range effort from Dolan, who's always leaning back, and the ball therefore always going over the bar.
One of those awkward bounces that never seems to come down. Reaching for the ball was Dolan. As you said, leaning backwards. Easy for the goalkeeper just to watch it over the uprights. Ball never came out of the box. Have to redo the goal kick. Callahan's claiming innocence there, but even with my eyes, I could see that she was stood a yard inside the box.
I always found that interesting, how it's a redo if the ball doesn't leave the box. If you don't make a proper throw-in, it's not a redo. The other team gets the ball.
I agree. It should be possession goes to the opposition, but
indirect free kick or something. It just seems a little crazy to just simply redo the play.
I think that the indirect free kick is probably the only option with regards to that.
What do we know? Through ball. And Moberg will claim it.
You see it so infrequently in the game. I mean, at the youth level, you see it more often, but on the odd occasion that it does happen at this level and at higher levels, it would certainly make for an interesting moment.
Well, it's so elementary. That's why I think that it should be something that you should be punished for, not rewarded and given another opportunity to do.
Absolutely.
It'd be a cynical view, but
maybe we should draft a letter to FIFA and see if they'll listen to us.
Yeah, like FIFA wants to listen to what I have to say. Callahan collects it for UCF. Such a calming presence in the middle of the field. And Haley mentioned before how she's sort of bounced back and forth between center back, between midfield, between center back, back to midfield again. Just seems like she takes whatever opportunities that Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak grants her in stride. And whatever the team needs, and sort of a Bill Belichick do your job mentality.
She's fulfilled different roles as well. It allows the team some more freedom. If she had to fill in on the back line, she would be able to do so. She played most of the season there, most of her career there for UCF. It's just a pleasure to watch her movement off of the ball. Some of the movements are very, very subtle, just a sidestep here, a little jog there, but if that movement is not tracked by the defending midfielder, she finds that she's in a lot of space and can receive the ball to feet and has a lot of time to make use of the pass. Hudson getting the ball, putting her head down, driving into the attacking half for Memphis. Again, there's that player Callahan, this time as a defender, just stepping into the lane and putting the ball out for a throw-in.
Vasseur was waiting for it. It's going to end up being a handball against UCF. So another very good free kick opportunity. Jessica Lisi already sent in a superb ball once. The reason why she can't do it again as Brooks Monaghan looks on and can't really ask for a much better start, with the exception of putting one in the back of the net.
And on the front foot right from the opening whistle of this second half, and UCF have struggled defensively against some of these set pieces.
Lisi into the box. Great ball. It gets all the way through. How did it not get a touch from a Tiger? It remains 3-0.
Frustration there from Catherine Lavasseur. She knew that that was a great opportunity. Beautiful shot here. The angle of the cross. Players in at the back post. We've seen those go in untouched on occasion. That one just wide of the right-hand upright. All it needed was the faintest of glancing blows, and it would have been in the back of the net.
She knew immediately as soon as the ball went through that she missed a golden opportunity.
It was tough for the player because it would have been seen late through traffic. But even so, it could have bounced off of the black shirts of the UCF players, the white shirts of the Memphis Tiger players. It wouldn't have mattered. It would have been in the back of the net. Dangerous cross coming in from the set piece.
TA striding forward. Picking up with Lisi. Bridget Callahan doing everything that she can to break it up, and she does beautifully. Walks up. He's stripped by Catherine Levasseur. Marie Levasseur with a heavy first touch, but able to clean it up. Adamick is trying to bully her way through. It's for Sesson Stevens. This is near left-hand side is where we saw Marie Levasseur devastate the Uconn back line. Almost the entire first half in the second quarter final on Wednesday, in which Memphis defeated Uconn 3-1. Janelle Hudson giving chase. Last touch is going to be off of UCF.
I like the way Hudson plays the game. Athletic as the right fullback for Memphis. Equally, I like the way that Frederickson, the left fullback, plays the game, getting forwards on the attack for the Knights.
Chanel Hudson came off of the bench, but she was certainly active and made life difficult for UCF getting forward. And Brooks Monaghan electing to go with Chanel Hudson in the start of the second half, and she's performing well. Pressure there from Dolan. And Souza. Showing her athletic capabilities there.
The Tigers are just a step quicker to the ball in this second 45 minutes so far. A little bit more energy coming from the Tigers after the halftime break.
Stevens tried cutting inside, but Quaxa was able to break it up. Great ball through. Adamick. Rather, that was Dina Orschman, who was bothered by Chanel Hudson, who continues to do a magnificent job. Just trying to contain this UCF attacking three. Catherine Levasseur trying to find her sister. Was cut out. And if you're Memphis, is this good start attributed to maybe UCF backing off a little bit, Memphis throwing numbers forward, maybe a combination of the two?
I don't think UCF have backed off at all. I think it's really down to the Tigers being more positive coming out of the locker room and not making the mistakes in the second half that they made early in the first half that caused them the issues defensively. Consequently, they are able to stay in the match and stay positive without those first two goals going in early in the first half. Obviously, it would be a completely different story, but the Tigers would have gained the confidence that they needed to play with UCF. But that was really a body blow from UCF early in the first half, and it took a long time for the Tigers to recover from it.
Adamick. Some adamant work, nutmegging Stevens. Still adamant, back across. Broken up by Kingston. But how about the footwork from Kayla Adamick, the redshirt senior out of Ottawa.
It was her work that created the first goal on the right flank, and then it continues in the second half, just patiently waiting. Stevens there, position wasn't great as a defender, and she was suitably embarrassed with the nutmeg.
Oberg gets a foot to that. Still danger here for Memphis of possibly giving up a fourth. Count for Quaxa. Ball whipped in. Stevens is there defensively. It's going to be a foul against Marie Levasseur. Protest from the Canadian.
I don't really see any physical contact there. Perhaps the ball bounced awkwardly and hit her in the arm, but another opportunity for the Knights on the set piece. Coach Monaghan is going to go to his bench.
It's Deja Mallon who's getting ready to check in. That's who Chanel Hudson started the second half for. Walks up. Ball in towards the back post, and both Ferreira and Callahan whiff on the free kick.
Delightful ball chipped in over the top. Just inches away was the scorer of the second goal. Ferreira. When we see those free kicks, Tyler, driven in with a bit of pace on it. That one was just chipped over the back line delightfully. Difficult to deal with as a defender.
It's probably more difficult to deal with than the driven ball, but the placement has to be perfect because it doesn't get past the first defender. It's basically a waste of a free kick, but it was perfectly placed and an opportunity for UCF to get their fourth, but no dice there.
Right, if you don't beat that first defender, you're opening yourself up to the counterattack. Something you don't want to do against this dangerous Tiger offense.
The Knights have been able to stifle them thus far. Essentially held Memphis scoreless for over 140 minutes of play. Going back to their regular season matchup. Substitutions coming on for both teams. Stasia Mallon coming on, placing Chanel Hudson. Adamick coming off. As well as Trina Quaxa.
Interesting to see whether we see those players again tonight for the Knights. Have to imagine as long as the score stays as it is, and Coach Robert Saheda thinks or feels that her team is in control of the match as they seem to be at this point. I would very much doubt that we would see those players come back into action.
Challenge there. Levasseur goes down. Memphis still trying to deal with it. It's through for Sanders. Sanders looking for number 2, but the freshman Elizabeth Moberg with a big save.
Well, Moberg was a little late to react to that through ball. In the end, though, she got on the end of it very nicely, bravely at the foot of the onrushing Sanders.
Big cushioned ball. Madison Murnan recently came on as a substitute. OTA directed Sanders for a moment. Now Moberg has to get rid of it. Sidney Kingston, plenty of time and space. Big switch over to Werner, but she can't handle it. Good idea from Kingston.
Appreciated by her coach as well. Coach Monaghan say great ball. Moving across the pitch. Difficult to deal with. Good vision. Werner will be disappointed that she didn't get the control of the pass though.
Half an hour to play. Memphis still looking for that initial breakthrough that could potentially open up the Tiger floodgates. Brazilian Souza. Let's giveaway there from UCF. Chance for Memphis to get some numbers forward. Werner trying to help it along. Michaela Morton providing the pressure, but look at Saga Fredrickson. Callahan. I think Orshman involved.
UCF just satisfied to keep possession. As long as they have the ball, you know that the Tigers can't score. When they have to, they allow the goalkeeper Veras to drive the ball forwards, as she just did so on the clearance. Try and win the second ball further up the pitch.
Substitute coming on for Memphis. Osa Iare, freshman from Montreal, 2 assists on the season. Played a number of minutes against Uconn on Wednesday and looked promising. Werner trying to fight her way through. German Orshman, however, not having any of it. Now Orshman looking to break free, taken down by Werner from behind. Great effort from 2 fantastic players. Orshman, however, getting the better of Werner on that occasion.
Frustration from Werner as she gets up. I don't see how she can have any complaint, though. It's just trying to hold the hand of the UCF player as they're going forwards.
little UCF powwow, trying to figure out what they're going to do with this particular free kick. Rarely see this sort of huddle. Those are usually reserved for Spectrum Stadium.
So they'll say go Knights as they break away. See who's going to take this. The referee's coming over to break it up.
See what they have in store. Sanders, Callahan, amongst those on top of the ball. There's some communication going on. Clock was stopped. Or Adamick rather trying to turn the corner. Stood up by Stevens. Wasn't a bad idea. Just trying to isolate Adamick on this near side and let the dynamic winger go to work.
I'm not sure what was discussed in the huddle, but I'm not positive that was exactly what they drew up. I swear I heard on the bench at UCF saying abort, abort, abort. Whatever the mission was, it wasn't coming off.
Long ball towards the back post. Callahan just knocks it back into a dangerous area. There's Eamon trying to get around ERA. Adamick hustling to keep it in bounds and is able to do so. Adamick sort of a breather for a moment. Kind of poked away by Sesson Stevens. ERA for Lisi and Memphis will take a deep breath.
It looked like Adamick was having a conversation with the assistant on the sideline.
He couldn't connect with ERA. Sosa sending it through, just saying to Dina Orshman, get on your horse. Vernon taken down by Warner, and it's been a frustrating night for Elizabeth Warner. She sort of had her way with the Uconn Huskies on Wednesday night, and that has not been the case here.
The front three just haven't had the consistent service that they need to be successful tonight for the Tigers. A lot of that credit is due to the back line of UCF. They do a great job of dropping defensively and taking away those long balls over the top that the front three from Memphis feed upon.
ERA. A bit of a sloppy first touch allowed Bridget Callahan to come away with it. How did she get her way out of that double team? Marie Levasseur on the first defender. Big positive touch forward, finding her sister Catherine. Back for Marie. Could be on here for Memphis. Is there a runner on the back post? Warner! And it goes wide. Oh, it was a beautiful buildup from the Tigers, but Warner could not put the finishing touches on it.
Catherine to Marie down the flank. Beautifully done. Deep into the box. The cross was a good one. And then decided not to make a play on it because she was facing her own net. Werner came late. She needed to go to the far post, try to go to the near post, and ends up missing the goal completely. Callahan almost touched that ball inside the penalty box then as well.
Oberg finding Stevens. However, she cannot keep it in play. Sanders already with a goal tonight. Big touch out wide. Vernon has her shot blocked.
Allen did well to get it across defensively.
Long-range effort, but that was always going wide as Elizabeth Moberg will collect a different ball for a goal kick. Good effort from Saga Fredriksson. Fredriksson's role before. She's the vocal leader amongst the group. Senior from Malmo, Sweden. Played for FC Malmo growing up. Three-time champion in the Swedish domestic league. He's the 2016 American Co-Defensive Player of the Year. 1 assist this season for Fredriksson, no goals. It is part of a defense that is top 20 in the country. And with more on the Knights, we'll head down to the third member of our crew, Haley Outen. Haley?
Well, you guys posed the question whether or not UCF would take their foot off the gas pedal, and that seems to not be the case down here. Just heard Bridget Callahan encouraging her teammates to keep going and don't let up.
Thank you very much, Haley. And not letting up is Kat Souza. A sliding effort there as the effort level remains 100 for the Knights. Jesson Stevens lining up a long throw-in. Morton bringing it down. Rarely have heard her name in the second half. Surae has her shot blocked by Bridget Callahan. Who else?
From Surae there defensively to force the errant pass from the Knights out of bounds. Creighton there giving up the throw-in at the beginning of Knights' defensive third.
Creighton with the header. With a beautiful touch from the German Sanders to bring it down. And it will be offside as Morton wasn't quite aware of her surroundings. And it'll go back to UCF. Just under 19 minutes remaining in this second semifinal. UCF well on their way to a conference championship appearance. The match will be on Sunday on ESPN News. At the moment, it'll be UCF taking on USF. A war on I-4 for the American Championship trophy.
Looking at the way UCF spread themselves out as Veris got the ball, the goalkeeper for the Knights. Acres of space. Central defenders went to the edge of the 18. The outside backs were already out at the sideline and pushed up the pitch. The midfielders had spread out as well. There's one checking run made from Zandi Surae.
UCF looking to get back to the days of NCAA tournament appearances, 20 of them. Whole host of conference championships, one of the more storied programs in the country. Under Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak in her 4th season, it is no different. You have to imagine if UCF are to come away champions of the American, that they could be front runners to perhaps host a regional.
At the moment, I would think, even if they don't win this tournament, they would be a pretty good bid for a 2 or 3 seed. Be surprised if they're not a 2. 1 might be out of their reach at this juncture, but certainly they'll be thrilled if they could host the first 3 rounds with the 2.
Creighton sends it in. The ball skipped up right at the last second. Allowed Sanders maybe not get the touch she wanted on it. He was looking to double her delight on the evening.
Only the best opportunity for the Knights, I think, in this second half. You'd see it just bounced at the last second. Unfortunate for Sanders.
Mascot for UCF blocking our vision right now. Nitron who's in the way. Brie Levasseur. Trying to make something happen for Memphis with 16 minutes remaining. Easy work for Vera Varis. Nitron is taking a seat now. Fredrickson sliding it through, not a bad idea, but Moberg off of her line.
Rose trying to get on the end of that through ball. A lot of the attacks from UCF continue down the flank, spreading out that back line of Memphis, making it so difficult to block those passing channels.
Creighton was almost there. Sanders goes back for Creighton. Creighton trying to return, but it's just out of her reach. Selfless football from Creighton, but just couldn't connect the dots to Sanders.
Beautiful interchange of passes between the two players. Sanders does ever so well, spreading out that back line. Creighton just couldn't take enough off of that pass. She had to play it early. Sanders in full flight just couldn't get there.
Certainly the right idea. And it's a team goal, the highest order, if Sanders is able to get there.
Certainly would have been on the highlight reel at the end of the season.
Monaghan obviously not pleased with the scoreline at the moment. We've run into a extremely solid UCF side as free stops play, and it could be for a potential head injury as Kat Souza holding her head initially. I mentioned before Souza from Brazil. Did 2 stops before coming to Orlando to UCF. The junior college national championship with Monroe. Transferred to Louisville. Was a Cardinal in 2016. And eventually found her way to the tutelage of Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak. Took home the Defensive Player of the Year honors, co-Defensive Player of the Year.
To go to the sideline because the athletic training staff came out to make sure she was okay. And quickly returns to the action to see that she's okay. See how wide those center backs for UCF spread out, opening the middle part of the pitch for the checking runs from the center midfield position and the center forward position for the Knights.
Oberg with an iffy clearance there as Memphis had to scramble to get rid of it. Warner. A little bit of a heavy first touch from Marissa Laressi. You hear Brooks Monaghan saying it's got to be 2 touches there. And now Chanel Hudson coming on for Memphis, and a line change for UCF.
Substitution, Memphis number 5, Chanel Hudson mark. And for UCF,
as it's going to be Julia Moore and Vera. Jessica Taylor coming on. A redshirt sophomore from Tampa. His goal in 10 appearances. Vera, senior from Ocala, Florida. And Julia Moore, a senior from Fort Lauderdale. Goal in 13 appearances. Hudson. Go back for Gauthier. Hudson striding forward, finding Marie Levasseur. Met by Mernon. And maybe a little bit too reckless from Vasseur, who is trying to win the ball back as Sosa draws the foul.
Great communication from the UCF bench, asking for the team to lock him in, put pressure on. Sosa looks like she's struggling.
Heresy wins it back. Heresy trying to split the defenders, and coming over to clean up the mess was Saga Fredrickson. ERA back for Levasseur. Coach Monaghan urging his team to get it in.
Service has got to be a little bit earlier from Levasseur on that occasion. Allied with the ball, trying to find a way to get to the end line, and in the end spoiled the opportunity that the Tigers had.
TA on Sanders. Maggie Overby ready to come on for Brooks Monaghan. A great turnout here at the UCF Soccer Track and Field Complex. Hudson able to keep it in play and find the feet of Gauthier. Pinned back about 107 yards away from their attacking goal. Heresy couldn't get it right, providing the pressure. And I mentioned Sosa after taking that knock to the face, just it's off about a half a step.
She's still a step ahead of everybody else defensively, but doesn't seem herself. I'd be surprised if Tiffany Roberts-Sahedek brings her off. Sosa, I think, has looked over the bench a couple of times and said, "No, I'm okay."
Overby coming on and replacing ERA. Overby, freshman from Madison, Mississippi. Sosa to elude Marie Levasseur. Marie asking for some help. CF trip, maybe an opportunity for Memphis to draw one back. Larissy waiting for numbers, drives it across, cut out by Sosa. Good challenge there from Julia Moore.
Monaghan always coaching, not giving up on this game, not giving up on his team, instructing the whole time.
I think we've seen a more vocal coach this week, Brooks Monaghan, although he could just be stationed closest to our crown bike.
I think we'd hear him even if he wasn't.
He's 50 yards away. Hudson. Moore gives it away. Certainly been an interesting season for UCF, and while they've had all their success, certainly wasn't an orthodox schedule. They went 18 days without a competitive match due to Hurricane Irma. Went from September 3rd to September 21st without a competitive game. They scheduled a scrimmage, Eastern Florida State, just so that they could sort of back into a playing rhythm.
Such a difficult time in Florida with the weather the way it was at that juncture, disrupted all of the sports. Obviously, there's more important things than the sports calendar to worry about when a hurricane's bearing down on you, but just dealing with the aftermath was difficult for all of these student athletes in UCF, USF, and other programs, and coaches and the players have done a really good job of finding their feet again. And that's what good athletes do, what good programs do, is adapt to their situations, whether it be in the field of competition. Different things are thrown at you within the 90 minutes of the game. Also during your season, whether it be injuries that you have to deal with. The student athletes, different class assignments they have to deal with, and balancing their time between the classroom and their athletic endeavors. So all of these players are just adapting the whole time, and UCF have done it better than most.
Well, with this win, they will extend their unbeaten streak to 15 matches. Only blemish what has otherwise been a near flawless performance in 2017. Nothing lost to University of South Carolina.
They are no slouch. Regular season SEC champions, although they were upset in the quarterfinal round of the SEC tournament by Arkansas, 8th seed.
Postseason's all about.
Absolutely.
Hudson into the box. Up the elevator shaft. Warner trying the bicycle kick. An audacious effort, but coming to nothing. UCF certainly scheduled a very difficult non-conference slate, taking on the likes of North Carolina, University of South Carolina. All preparing them for what is a pretty rugged conference schedule at that. And we do have an injury on the far side. It looks like it's Saga Fredrickson. Referee holding off medical attention for the moment, as Fredrickson, certainly a tough cookie, just going to shake it off. Certainly what Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak would have done back in her heyday.
Indicate, okay, let's get on with it. I'm ready. Why are we waiting on me? I was fine.
And for those of you just joining us, our sideline reporter Haley Outen, I think the inside scoop that Saga Fredrickson is known around UCF as sort of the mini-meat of head coach Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak, as she's always preaching mantras and mottos of their head coach. Sort of a coach on the field. Hudson and Moore. Good speed from both of them, but Hudson able to get the better of her on that occasion.
Like the imagination, long searching ball diagonally across the pitch. Unbalanced Memphis. Fredrickson goes to the sideline. I'm okay, coach. Why'd you take me out?
It's the sign of a true competitor, not wanting to come out even if it is 3-0 with just a few minutes left. Lauren Nemiroff, the junior out of Kentucky, coming on. Sanders, Ferreira, Stasia Mallon of Memphis by an own goal. Those are our goal scorers for the night. Ferreira's 13th, and Sanders is 4th. Just 9 appearances. Stephanie Sanders, the native of Hamburg, Germany. Lacey was trying the big switch.
I can safely say it was switched. Nobody was there for her team to read it.
Tiffany Sanders, our VP of this match, did a terrific job coming off of the bench, and we talked about the movement of the attacking front for UCF. It started with Morgan Ferreira, the Offensive Player of the Year in 2017, but once Sanders came onto the field, that level didn't drop.
It didn't. And
links up with Moore here. Moore tripped up initially. Moore still trying to get there. It's going to fall for Sanders. Big save from Moberg. Sanders almost on cue, solidifying her place as the MVP of this match, but denied by the freshman Elizabeth Moberg. Still could be an opportunity for her second goal of the match and her 5th of the season, but stripped at the last second.
Almost had too much time in the box to pick her poison as far as the shot was concerned. Took one touch too many and allowed the goalkeeper to get across. Credit Moberg with the great footwork to make the save. That is the mark of a good team. We're talking about how the level hasn't dropped for UCF with the substitutions that have been made by Coach Robert Sahadak. Essentially, the Knights have not skipped a beat with all the changes that have been made throughout the game, particularly in this second half. Is it even more difficult for the opposition? Ferreira goes out as a substitute, and as a defender you think you might get a little bit of a rest, but you didn't. Sanders came in and made your life equally as difficult as when Ferreira was out there.
TA, beautiful ball from Marie Levasseur. Memphis still trying to find a breakthrough against this stout UCF defensive crew. Probably the stoutest of their defenders, Kat Souza, making the play there. UCF on their way to the American Championship match. They will take on USF, #1 and #2 seed matchup. The Cinderella stories in this year's championship game. SMU had an opportunity. They fell to USF by a score of 1-0. Evelyn Vienne, brilliant performance and an excellent goal. Memphis with one last chance to get a breakthrough. Lisi with the shot. They'll see it out of bounds. And the hosts, UCF, are headed to the championship against their in-state rival, their Interstate 4 rival, USF, on Sunday. A dominant performance from start to finish for Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak crew. Morgan Ferreira with her 13th goal this season. Tiffany Sanders with her 4th. And UCF dancing their way to the final on Sunday afternoon.
It was a really good performance from UCF. I was excited to see what they would bring to the pitch tonight, and they certainly did not disappoint. Great effort from them.
And standing by with Coach Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak is Haley Outen.
Coach, your team played a solid second half to capture this win here in the semifinals. What do you have to say about their performance today?
I'm happy they were hungry. You know, I don't want this team to ever get satisfied, and our goal is to get better in every game. And so in areas of the game, I think we did. And another goal was to get a shutout, and we got that too. So happy for them.
You were able to get some subs in the game. How important is that going to be, knowing the tough match you have ahead on Sunday?
I really wanted to get some goals early on so that we could make subs, because South Florida is so good, and we want to be as fresh as possible, however that can be. And making the subs is really key tonight, so we're really thankful our players came off the bench and did a great job.
Your team just battled to a draw against USF last week, pretty fresh in the mind still, I'm sure. How intense do you expect this matchup to be?
It's going to be really intense. You know, South Florida, like I said, is a very good game, and it's a cross-state rivalry, so I hope a lot of fans come out, because that helped last time. But both teams deserve a lot of fans to come out, so hopefully we'll see that.
This has been such a special season for your team, and a chance now for the first time since 2013 to claim a conference tournament title. What does that mean to you that your team has that opportunity?
Well, we would love that, obviously, but you know, this senior class deserves everything because they've had such great leadership. And so I would just be really happy for them if they can get that done. But like I said, we're just focusing, you know, on each game, and if they take care of the details, maybe we can get that done.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach. Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
There you have it from Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak, now 15 unbeaten since the first game of the season against the University of South Carolina, and now Haley Outen is standing with one of the goal scorers tonight, Stephanie Sanders.
Stephanie, congratulations on this win today. Now, you've had a really great season here, your 4th goal of the season tonight. As a freshman, what is this experience like for you?
It's an amazing feeling. I'm just happy after my injury to get back, and it's always great to score goals, but the team was amazing, so it's all a team effort.
It was a great goal that you scored. What did you see there to capture the 3rd goal tonight?
Oh yeah, it was good. It was like a great pass from Dina, so I didn't have to do much. I just scored, and yeah.
So this team hasn't been to the conference tournament championship since 2013, but nonetheless, this will be your first trip there. What is this feeling like so far, your first game playing in the postseason?
It's amazing. I think we have a great season, and we want to keep it up, and we want to win the championship, so yeah.
There's so many great seniors and veterans on this year's roster. How have they kind of helped bring you along in your freshman season, helping you adjust to the college game?
They're amazing. They give so much support to us and help us in every situation. They're amazing.
All right, thanks a lot. Good luck on Sunday.
Very straightforward from Stephanie Sanders, and much like her play, she just goes to goal. And now a live look at the championship bracket here in the 2017 American Women's Soccer Championship Tournament. UCF and USF. It's an all-Florida final Sunday, November 5th, 2 p.m. on ESPN News. That is where that game will be aired if you want to check in, and it should be a terrific matchup. It was a 1-1 draw during the War on I-4 matchup in the regular season finale, and it should have more of the same grit and fight in store on Sunday. UCF rolled from start to finish over Memphis by a score of 3-0. For our entire crew and our broadcast team, Haley Outen and Matt Stubbington, I'm Tyler Terrence saying so long for now, and thanks for tuning in on the American Digital Network.